Welcome to the Buds Bustin' Balls podcast. We are the Buds Bustin' Balls. But you may ask, well, who is the we in that statement? Well, next to me here is Celiac_Matt Worsham. He's a Twitch streamer, and he's a guy that I'm actually not going to bust his balls tonight because I feel bad because he only has one ball to bust. He only has one.
You gotta be gentle with it. We have to nurture it and protect it.
You gotta massage it, not bust it.
How many times? I have two. Just one of them is a little weird. That's all. It's just a little special. He's a little special guy.
And then the other guy that we have with us tonight, Scott Stevens, Hero Omega Man, gives a whole new meaning to the term suburban hillbilly. Yes, that's right. He is a suburban hillbilly. And I am Mike Bowerman, Bowertendo, your host for this episode. And in this episode, we're going to be talking about our best friend in the entire world, plagiarism. So, before we get to the really fun topic, I gotta ask the regular question. What are you drinking? What are you playing?
I'll go first because Scott didn't say anything. Hi. Drinking today, I just finished cranberry juice, which I don't really enjoy, but it's good for you, so I drank it. I have water. There you go. It's boring. It's all that. The game I am playing, and this might take a little bit of time, but I need to tell you guys, I have beat Undertale fully. I fully beat Undertale yesterday, January 23rd on stream. It took me, I think, 5 streams to get it done, and we did the full pacifist ending, and it was absolutely spectacular. It had the lulls, it had the feels, it had the fun gameplay. It was really, really interesting to revisit all these characters once you've basically beaten the game and all their dialogue is different, including Scott's favorite, Burger Pants. Talking to him post beating the pacifist run is stupendous. I absolutely loved it. Undertale, phenomenal game, phenomenal music. What a feat. What a feat. Absolutely loved it. That's what I beat last night. Loved that game. So good.
For
Scott,
me,
what about you?
Well, I was saying before you interrupted me, you bastard.
You took
I'm
too
sorry,
long.
that was mean.
You took
That
too
was
long.
mean.
You gotta go faster.
I'll dial it down. I'm sorry. I'm also drinking water because I feel like an unhealthy sack of crap lately. As far as games go, I also went and beat a game that's very critically acclaimed and has been out forever and feel like I'm the last person who has played it at this point. For me, that would be The Last of Us. I'm trying to figure out the best way to articulate it. I hated the ending. Not in like, this was poorly written or like, this was bad writing or anything like that. Like it made sense with the characters, and I definitely have been thinking about it a lot since I beat the game. It's just more of like the events that happened and the way certain characters ended up or things they did. I was just like, man, this sucks. I don't like what I just saw, but I do really love the game. I do, now that the game is all beaten and I've seen everything in there, I do have a couple of very minor gripes, but it definitely lives up to the hype of all these people who put in their top games of all time and praise the hell out of this game. I can see it now. I understand. And I was actually going to show it off, but I don't know where it is right now. But I went out and bought The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered. So that's sitting somewhere in an undetermined location.
It's not out yet, is it?
Yeah, it came out Friday.
Oh, it like just came out. You're right.
Yeah. So I will probably be starting that like tomorrow or something. So pretty excited for that and see where the story goes. Probably not anywhere good, but still looking forward to it.
You're diving into that before Resident Evil 4. You want to see this. You want to see this through.
I'm hooked right now, man. I'm like all in on this story.
I don't blame you at all.
So I'm gonna be playing that and a little bit of Palworld on the side, but we'll talk more about that later. But anyhow, that's what Scott's gaming plate's been.
All right, and I'm drinking just a Coke. I don't know. Felt like a Coke tonight. Coke kind of night. And I am now. I'm kind of playing multiple games at the moment. I just I don't know what you'd call it. I got all the achievements in Dave the Diver on Steam. what a delightful game all the way through. There are a couple little things in it that I was like, I could have done better there. I didn't like that. But overall, man, what a delightful, wonderful game. Can't talk about that game enough. So that's what I'm drinking. That's what I'm playing. I'm playing a whole bunch of things right now. Matt will like this. I guess I should say this. I have started getting back into a game that some news came out about it, that a lot of the stuff that happened to it was the upper management. We kind of assumed that, but it was kind of confirmed. And that's Overwatch 2.
Let's go.
So I have been starting to play that again.
Boo earns.
I know. I'm not going to give them any of my money at all. Like, not even look at that. Like, anytime I think, like, I might give them money, I'll probably just go over to Fortnite and give Fortnite money instead. Because,
I mean, Fortnite probably works harder for your money, but I've said this, I think I said this on the stream the other day. Overwatch 2 has done nothing but get better from where it started. The argument to that is like, well, they started very, very low. Fair. It's done nothing but get better. And maybe this can be a TikTok short. Hi, TikTok, YouTube people, listen to all the words before you get angry and comment. I think Overwatch 2 is a good game and has gotten a lot better since it released. Did I like Overwatch 1 6v6 more? Yes, but I think Overwatch 2 is actually a really, really good game now. All right, go yell at me at the comments, you turds.
So you're going to like this too. What's my least favorite mode in that game? It has been from day one.
Push.
Yes.
Or whatever it's called.
Yes, 100%. And it still is. I played a match the other day, and it wasn't bad. It didn't make me like, wow, this is great. But the entire time I wasn't sitting there going, do I want to back out? Do I want to do this? Do I want to back out? I actually played the whole damn match. That's a testament. So, yeah.
It's a fun game, and it's also very fun with your buds. Yeah. I play Overwatch enough to get 2 out of the 3 like weekly goals. There's like complete 4, complete 9, complete 12. I always complete 9 of the weeklies, get my free little money, which basically pays for the battle pass after a while. Given I actually cashed those out early because there was a taunt for my favorite character, Moira, that I had to get. I'm like, oh, I actually have the in-game currency for it, and that's a cool taunt. I did it. I don't regret it. I love Moira. I love Overwatch 2. I'm glad you're playing it.
You didn't pay them money, right?
No.
You use their in-game stuff, which, okay, fine.
Yeah, I don't know how many seasons we're on. Maybe 6, 7,
11.
8. I have no way. It's
yes.
not okay. Sorry, seasons are different than I think the battle pass. I don't know what battle pass we're on.
Oh.
I want to say it's like 8 or 9. But out of the 8 or 9, I've gotten every single one, and I've paid for maybe 6 of them. So for me, I'm like, I paid basically the full price of a game for a game that's out for what that feels like almost 2 years now. Might be longer. I have no issues paying the $10 essentially every single battle pass just because I like the game. I like that they're still doing it. I like that they've made a lot of improvements. I'm still angry with how expensive their skins are. I've not bought a single skin outside of the one that comes with like, hey, if you buy this $10 to go towards a battle pass, here's a bonus skin. Like, all right, cool, I'll do that. But skins are way too expensive for what they are. But I will get their battle pass. I think they deserve it.
I think it's pretty hypocritical how much you're talking up Overwatch 2, but it sounds like you really have no skin in the game.
Scott, I need you to listen very carefully to this, okay? You ready? You beat me to it. I knew it was coming. I was hoping.
That was my bud plug for the night right there.
Thanks for plugging.
That was an excellent joke and excellent execution. You did it. You did it, Scott.
We're proud of you.
All right. Well, all that being said, let's get serious. Hey guys, let's get super deadly serious this time. Okay? This time, let's get serious. So, this has been something that I had been thinking about for a while now, but a certain game came out to kind of fuel this along. So we're talking about plagiarism, and it feels like, I don't know what happened. Like, I had thought about this before off and on, and it seems like the past, I don't know, like half of a year, plagiarism has become a very hot topic, maybe a little bit longer than that. First, I saw a bunch of stuff with like AI artwork, right? Like, what about that? What is the morality behind that? Is it is it ethical? All of that kind of stuff. And that's a whole other topic for a whole nother episode in and of itself. There is this person H Bomber Guy, and I found H Bomber Guy back, I think it was like during COVID times, and his first video that I watched had to do with the vaccine and why people are so anti-vax, right? And so, long story short, he made this giant ass video. I think it's like 4 hours long on YouTube. Okay, I do highly recommend it. It's very, very well done. It's very good, and it brought attention to something that I didn't even think about, that I didn't even know about. Okay, about different communities of YouTubers, all this stuff. And these YouTubers were just straight up ripping off things like from Netflix and from books and from documentary, like without citing them, without crediting them. So that was a huge, huge deal. So much so that the person that he kind of bombs at the end, like, by the way, this person's the biggest plagiarizer. That person is like, their career is just like down in the tubes now, as far as I know. So that being said, let's talk about plagiarism, and let's talk about everybody's new favorite game. 7 million sold, not including Game Pass. What game is that, Scott?
Palworld.
Palworld. So, two things. Before we get into this, I legitimately don't have any skin in the game. I kind of fell out of Pokemon a while back. I don't really care if you want to play Palworld, whatever, okay? I really don't have any of that, but I think there's a good conversation to have around this game. And then let's define plagiarism, the actual definition of plagiarism, before we get into this. That is the practice of taking someone else's work or ideas and passing them off as one's own. Key things: the practice, not just, oh, I accidentally did it, I stumbled upon it. This was a definitive, I practiced this, I did this on purpose with a very specific point in mind. And then taking that work and saying, it is mine, not citing it, not referencing it, all of that. So, I have a question for you guys to start us off. What determines plagiarism?
I think the context of the thing, the item, the whatever, kind of determines that. And I might say this a couple of times because there's a line somebody said, like there's nothing new under the sun, like nothing's original anymore. And to an extent, that's true, because you can break everything down to its base core and say, oh, this is just that. This is just that.
Well,
There's a difference between...
didn't Solomon say that, from the Old Testament days? I'm pretty certain he wrote about it. It said, "There's nothing new under the sun," right?
Yeah, back in Old Testament.
So it's old.
BC
it's an
days,
old saying, right?
Yeah, like 2,000 years ago, everything was already old hat.
Yeah, so now it's just more so. Anywho, break anything down at its core. It is, you could say like, oh, it's just that, but slightly different. So there's a big difference between plagiarism and inspiration. To your actual question, like what is plagiarism? I think plagiarism is outright like, we're going to take this and put it on as our own. And with video games, with music, with things, and then music is like, no, it's not plagiarism. It's a cover. Is that plagiarism? Are they allowed to do it? If it's satire, they get like a free pass legally. There's so many like minute details that go into it, but I like the simple definition. Like there's things like, yes, obviously they're inspired by something, or they just straight up copied it, man. Just straight up copied it. I think one of the biggest culprits of copy and paste terrible things are kids' cartoons. They're like, oh, that person had a blue dog that did well. Our dog's red now. Like, some stuff is just so obvious. What's that line? Like, there was an old politician line when they were talking about like legalizing away like pornography and things like that. Like, I'll know it when I see it. I think that applies a lot to this. So some is like obvious, some is just inspired. Short answer is, I don't know, man. They're basically like, this is mine, I'm passing off my own. Like, I'm not even going to try to say that this is my unique idea. Mobile games are another good example. Like, here's a popular mobile game. Now here's 50. They're the exact same thing.
You're underselling that one. More like 500.
Yeah.
Scott, what do you think?
I mean, I think it's just pretty simple. Like, are you trying to go and take credit for coming up with this concept? I feel like a lot of people it's like, were you really the one who thought up this Pikachu? But do you really think you're the original person who thought of a blue Pikachu, who's not really Pikachu? His name's something else. I like to think everybody in Palworld, like, obviously they're not going to go flat out say it, but I feel like if you go to them, it's like, hey, bro, was this inspired by Pokemon? They would fess up like, yeah, it's inspired by Pokemon. Now, if they try to go around and claim like, nope, these are 100% original creatures that we popped in the head, it's like it's same thing if you write like an academic paper, right? Like, honestly, most academic papers, there's nothing original in it. You're just copying and pasting things from other people's research and rewording it yourself. But what makes it okay? What is the thing that magically makes the difference between like a Harvard professor who got fired or a person who actually did a good paper? Citing at the end. And there's a whole thing about the proper way to cite and like the way to do it and when you should cite. And it just comes down to that. So obviously in video games, there's no format for that. But I feel like at the end of the day, it's just about, recognizing influences, being honest and upfront that like, I'm not the innovator of this. So again, what you think, like, what should that look like? Should, games flat out say like, oh yeah, list Metal Gear Solid in the credits if I have a sneaking section? I don't know. They probably won't do it, but who knows?
So I guess it's yeah. So I'm glad you brought up citation. And okay, I actually have a very interesting connection here. So how do you cite video games? You kind of alluded to that. Like, you can't be like, oh, we had a sneaking section, so in the credits we're going to say, we were inspired by Metal Gear Solid. But then I have to ask a question: what's the difference between inspired and plagiarism? Right? Because I could plagiarize it, and that's kind of what I see the Palworld people doing. It's like, oh, well, we will not say that we were not inspired by Pokemon. But did they plagiarize? And we'll get to some of the things in a little bit here of what I want to bring up. I'm not talking about even the concept, right? Which that's a whole other topic of you catch little monsters and you train them and they're like your pets and they fight for you. Or in this case, you can kill them and eat them and fight them. And
I feel really stupid that I'm going to make, I guess we're going to hold off on this and it's going to be a section. Considering I've only played the game for 1 hour, I feel almost like stupid for the amount that I'm going to defend that game coming up, but we'll wait for it.
That's fine. That's an hour more than me. So, I mean, I'm just bringing this up just because I think it's an interesting topic, honestly. So like, how do you cite? How do you do that, right? And would that fix this? So they've sold 7 million, and I think it's an open beta, which that's again a whole other topic.
Access? Is it early access?
Or early
access.
Oh, is it early access? Sorry, early access. Which again, okay, that's another.
I mean, you know what determines if it's not plagiarism or not, or if it's plagiarism or not, or should I say? Has Nintendo sued them? Has it been taken down? I think 7 million copies answers that, and they're still around. So apparently, it's not plagiarism by whatever legal definition there is, because Nintendo would totally have taken. They took down like a Pokemon mod for that game within like an hour. So I heard. So this is on their radar. They're ready to pounce. So
yeah, well, I was going to bring up that point. I think they're going to, but you know what I think they're doing? And this is scummy, but I get it from a business standpoint. They're going to let them make all the money. And then they're going to say, hey, guess what? That's not your money anymore. That's our money. That 7 million you sold. I think Nintendo is that scummy when it comes to this stuff.
Do they want to do that? Yes. Do I think they legally can do it? Absolutely not. Just because of how honestly different this game is than just straight up like, we have monsters you catch. It's very different. And I think you had a point to talk about this later. If you did, I'm sorry. But Pokemon itself, you could say, was a knockoff of a game called, I forget what it was called. There's a game that preceded Pokemon that was pretty similar. I forget where it was, but like,
yeah,
I don't know. I don't think they have any ground to stand on if they want to sue them. Like taking down that mod immediately, absolutely, that makes sense. Why would? Yeah, I get that. They took it down immediately. I don't think they're ever going to go after it. I am amused over the thought of how games would citate other games. Like let's say you're about to go to a sneaky mission and like there's a quick thing in the bottom right corner, as created by Metal Gear Solid in a box. Like just things like that would be so funny to me. And I'm just picturing like these video game developers that are like, wait, I spent my entire life and career having to cite things for papers in school. And now you're making me do it in video games as well. And it has to be in the proper citation format. If not, then it doesn't count. Your teacher docks you off some points or you get sued. I just think that's so funny. Like next time you play a fighting game and you knock somebody off the stage instead of just a KO, like there's a little Smash Brother logo, like as made by Smash Brothers, the only people that are allowed to do anything once. I just think that's funny. Games will never citate other games, never. But I just think that concept is hilarious.
Right. Well, and it's funny. Let's talk about Dave the Diver. It has many inspirational segments, many homages, and one of them is Metal Gear Solid, straight up Metal Gear Solid. Like they recreate the intro scene when he pops up out of the water. You're high. It's so funny. But that's not the game itself, and they don't need to citate it because that's not what the game is built on, right? I think the big thing with Palworld is this is what the game is built on. It is very similar to Pokemon, and I think the thing for me that I've made me go, oh, I don't know about this, is they're like seeing side-by-side comparisons, some of these Pokemon some of these pals compared to their Pokemon 3D model equivalents that are officially from Nintendo, Pokemon Company, whoever it is, right? Like, I'm talking like the same design and teeth and eyes next to each other. The like, literally, it's like they took it and they went, give it a purple tail instead of red tail. All right, that's our pal, right? And I'm like, I feel like maybe those ones might get taken out of the game, or like, hey, you better go change that or else kind of a thing. But it's just so... I find it funny. Like, is this just an inspirational game? They went, screw it. We want an adult Pokemon, so that's what we're going to make. But then here's the kicker. Everybody's talking about Pokemon. Now, Scott, maybe you can speak on this, okay? Because I have not played it. I've heard people be like, no, I kind of think it's ripping off Ark, Survival Evolved, or whatever. And I know that game, and I'm like, the hell? What? And people are like, yeah, like I think it rips that game off just as much, if not more. But everybody's talking about Pokemon because they all assume Nintendo's going to do their thing, right? Scott, what do you think about that?
Am I officially released? Am I off the leash? Can I just go and talk about this now?
No, absolutely. I mean, I have an outline here because there are points, but this is kind of free
I see. Like, are you officially on point 1? Because I see that's where it's or no, point 2, because that's where it looks like I can talk about Palworld.
Yeah. Go for it. Go for it.
I'm going for it. So, Palworld, after playing it for an hour, and granted, again, I'm doing this whole big rant just based off an hour of gameplay. It is not a Pokemon ripoff. Like, the game as a whole. Now, the character models of the monsters you catch, like, that's like, bro, yeah, like, it's a pretty blatant ripoff on that. The game isn't really about that. I mean, it is. Okay, the best way I can describe the game, it's Breath of the Wild meets Minecraft, and then as you're playing it, on the side there's monsters that look like Pokemon that you can catch and enslave and do chores around your camp. But really, like, a lot of the game is exploring, collecting resources, building, up your base. It's and it's fair that people think this is a Pokemon ripoff, because I feel like the devs, they basically, all the trailers are just showing all the battles and all the monsters, and look, they have guns or whatnot. And they were kind of doing, it was like Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, I mean, it was. It's like, look at this. I have a movie with Winnie the Pooh in it. Ha 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 ha. And it was just kind of like, it's just a guy wearing a Pooh mask, though, at the end of the day. And it had like very, very loose connection to Winnie the Pooh. It was just basically a low budget slasher movie. And that's what basically Palworld is. Yeah, it has blatant Pokemon ripoff skins, but I feel like it's a very much different game than what people were led to believe. For the type of game it is, I'm actually enjoying it. Now, what I will say is it does feel like a Pokemon game, not like any Pokemon game that's ever come out, more like the Pokemon game you always wish came out. So, granted, I've never played a Pokemon game, and like, what would make this game better? If I could eat my Pokemon. Not in that way, but there's so many features in the open world of it. Like, okay, I'm a pretty hardcore Pokemon fan. I haven't bought the last generation of Pokemon games because I thought the last couple before them were kind of ass. And then, as far as I know, the one that came out last year or 2 years ago.
Scarlet and Violet look like absolute ass. Yes.
It's borderline unplayable. It's not just it looks like ass. It's not even functional as an ass. It doesn't even perform its core features. They put in an open world that, like, you know, you have the audacity of playing our game. We're going to go and make this game run at 10 frames per second and have screen tearing everywhere. It sounds terrible. And like, either the Pokemon franchise doesn't grow, or when it does attempt some type of small growth, like in Arceus, whatever it's called, they completely botch it and fail the execution. So this is kind of not, I'm getting a little bit away from the plagiarism argument. Just this is more of justifying Palworld. I feel like at this point, Pokemon deserves to be ripped off. If they could legally call themselves like Pokemon with Guns the game, I would have no problem with it, because I think Nintendo and the Pokemon Company, Game Freak, whoever you want to say, has dropped the ball so hardcore on Pokemon at this point. It's like, all right, you don't give us a game. If you're not going to give us the game that us Pokemon fans want, at least these Palworld guys are giving us something that, you know, actually runs and is enjoyable and has some type of growth. I'm kind of controversial opinion here, but there's certain songs, movies you can't legally buy. You can't stream them. You can't buy them. If you can maybe pay $100 for a DVD copy of it or something like that. I think in that type of situation, it is 100% morally justifiable to pirate it. It is, you know, having these companies saying like, oh yeah, we're not going to release this thing for it, but if you try to pirate it, we're going to sue you. It's just like, well, you can't have it both ways. If there is an audience for it and somebody wants it and you're not providing it, then I think it's fair game. And that's basically what it boils down to Palworld for me. I think there's the audience for it, and the person who owns it isn't delivering. It's total fair game. I know that would totally not hold up in the court of law, but that's just more of me, like, why me personally, my ethics code, why I think Palworld is totally justifiable in what they're doing. So there you go. That's my rant. I know I went all over the place on that, but there you go.
So I'm in the middle ground. So Mike's not played it at all. Scott's actually played it, well, a little bit. I had the game gifted to me last night on stream, and I'm staring at the accept or decline button on if I'm going to accept or decline it. One, it's a free game because, you know, cool, free game. The other is like, I had a lot of issues just from surface level with this game, because my initial thought was like, they just straight up ripped off Pokemon. And I thought to myself, like, even if this game sucks, and at the time I thought it was going to suck, I'm like, this is going to make a ton of money because there's a demand for it. Like Scott was saying, like, people want more Pokemon. They want more advanced Pokemon. The first Pokemon game I played since second generation, that dates me way back, is Pokemon Legends. Arceus. And I actually enjoyed that because of the sort of livable world, a really crappy livable world, but it was a livable world where you can like see Pokemon and kind of interact with them, and it did some different things. And I thought that was brilliant, but apparently a lot of people didn't really vibe for that game. And I think the people that didn't vibe with it are the people that want the same game over and over and over again. I'm like, this is great. This is a step in the right direction. So I hope the future games since then have that, but I had no desire to play the other games. Palworld is what everybody wanted. And I've actually seen some gameplay. I've chatted with people that absolutely love it. The guy that actually gifted it to me, he's like, this is a game that you're going to enjoy. And here's what's really great about this game that Pokemon does very terribly. You can play with people. You can share this world with people. You can do things together. There's more than just like catch a Pokemon, train the Pokemon, have the Pokemon fight the Elite Four in Team Rocket or whatever the heck they're called these days. There is so much in this game. So much in this game that I don't think that they can stand. They're not going to lose any form of legal battle with it, except for maybe the design. And that's what I'm wondering is like, Pokemon has like, what, 800, 900 something Pokemon? Do they own the exact rights to every single one because they put it in a game once? I don't know the legal side of that.
Well, I think it's the art. It's not. It's more than just like, it looks like they're using assets from it, not just that's a similar design. Like, oh, that looks like Luxray, but it's not, right? Or that looks like Lucario, but it's not. Like, I think some of the things are like, if you see them side by side, you're like, hot damn, that's literally the same, like the same face, but they just put it on a different body. Like,
and I don't know most of the Pokemon, but I saw them like, that's Lapras with a rocket launcher is what that is.
Yes.
So I think that's the only like, ooh, is that what's going to get them in trouble? But at its core, like, I think it's just so much more than a Pokemon game. And the argument is like, does Pokemon own the right where you catch the Pokemon? And just because you actually catch Pokemon and they look like Pokemon, can you sue them? I don't think they can in this instant, but I'm not a legal guy. But I'm with Scott in that this game offers so much more. To me, it's not a Pokemon game. It is a survival game with creatures.
And that's why they say like ripping off Ark, which is a survival game.
Correct.
I do want to say
so many survival games as well.
That's true. I do want to say I do agree with you, Matt. I don't agree with you, Scott. Because number one, you contradicted.
He had the same opinion as me. What the hell?
Of what you said. So you contradicted yourself. You said, look, if they don't offer it anymore, if they like this game A, that sold, they stopped it. I cannot get it anymore legally. You will not sell it to me. Then I'm going to pirate it. You can buy Pokemon games. There's a whole bunch of them you can buy.
You want? Not the type you want.
But now that's
people want a modern Pokemon game with an open world.
But the problem is, what if my version of Pokemon is not like that? What about my Pokemon game, Scott? Where's my Pokemon game? And what's their Pokemon game? And that person's Pokemon game? So now you start going down this slippery slope of, well, now we decide.
7 million people wanted this version of Pokemon. 7 million people.
Okay, I'm gonna look up a number here. Okay.
The number is 7. If everyone is asking,
the number is 69.
It's 7.
Okay.
It is 7.
Okay, so 7 million. Okay.
Oh, sweet. I was right.
How much did Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, obviously the most ass of all the Pokemon games that we've seen in our lifetime? I'm willing to say that as a statement. How much do you think it sold?
I mean, I'm not really going to play this game because obviously Pokemon has 20 plus years of fandom. The fact that Palworld, a game that came out, I only heard of Palworld 3 weeks ago. And I think could be said for most people too. And the fact that a game that was only heard about 3 weeks ago, based purely off the premise of this is a Pokemon game that is, in an open world and actually an evolved version. The fact that 7 million people, plus more from Game Pass, were willing to take the plunge on this game just on that premise alone.
So, okay. But still, I'm coming back to your points that you made.
Okay.
I actually agree with you. I really don't care. Cool, people like this. I really don't care about Pokemon or Palworld personally. Like, I don't care to play either of them anymore. So I really am like kind of on the outside over here. Like, I'm just going to play my Metal Gear Solid over here while everybody fights. But I just wanted to talk about it. Pokemon Scarlet and Violet sold over 23 million. Okay? Pokemon's still selling. My issue with your statement is that, oh, well, I'm going to go support this even if they are ripping off Nintendo because Nintendo isn't giving me what I want. Well, you know what, damn it? I can go to another game and say, you're not giving me what I want. There's this other version of, I'm going to go pirate this game from you because you're not giving me what I want. That's a slippery slope to go down, right? However, I think the correct way that people should do this is, okay, we have 7 million people about Palworld. Awesome. You know what people should do with Pokemon games? Not buy them. So that when they get the next Pokemon and it sells 1 million and they go, hot damn, nobody bought our game. Then they think, well, why did that game sell 7 million in 1 week? Or whatever, 5 days or whatever it was. What happened? Let's be like that. And then they're going to go and try to plagiarize. They're going to be inspired by Palworld, right? And it causes that competition. There's a difference between, I'm going to go steal this thing that you own because you're not giving it to me, or I'm going to go steal this thing because you didn't make it the game that I wanted. This isn't what I wanted. But what I find funny about this is that I think all of the people that I'm kind of like, guys, just stop buying the damn game and they'll reevaluate, right? Those are the people, Matt, you said Arceus, like the large portion were like, nah, that's not our thing. And they're the people that just want the same over and over and over and over. I think those are the people that are buying Pokemon over and over and over and over and not advancing the series, right? Like, Zelda's been lucky because it has sold, but luckily that team is always wanting to try new things. Whether it fails or not, they're trying new things. Pokemon company's like, nope, let's just shard out a little, and yep, oh, it's sold. Millions. Cool. That's all we had to do. Let's do it in 2 years. We'll go, and get another couple million. So that's my problem with your argument, Scott, is not necessarily the end result. It's the what would it, methodology, theology, the thought behind it, like the process of getting there. I'm like, ooh, that's a slippery slope, because what I want is vastly different from what you want, which is vastly different from other people, right? We all want different things or variations of different things.
they're still gonna make Pokemon games just the way they do, and the people, if you want that version, this isn't like supplanting Pokemon. This isn't like, all right, we're the new Pokemon game in town. Nintendo, no more Pokemon games for you. And let's be honest, at the end of the day, Pokemon is a children's game. It is. I know I'm not doing the whole thing like, oh, video games are for children. No, like legitimately, Pokemon is a franchise for kids. And I know there's going to be a lot of people out there losing their shit over me saying that, but it's the truth. Like fucking
a lot of 30-year-old men.
I am one of those 30-year-old men who you know how much money I paid on Pokemon cards this past month? But I am willing to be honest and acknowledge that this is a franchise designed for kids and it's primarily targeted towards kids. Is there something for me to enjoy with it? Definitely. Is this something I grew up with? Absolutely. And honestly, it brings back good childhood memories. But yeah, even though I would appreciate them doing some more growth in the game with the games, at the same time, you know what? There's probably a lot of people who bought Scarlet and Violet that was their first ever Pokemon game. That, you know, the time when red version and blue version came out, they were just sperm in their parent or father's balls. So there you go.
Or ball.
Or ball in that case, yes.
I liked the little competition between blue and red. Like, which one are you, blue or red? Kind of fun. You know what I want to talk about is how I don't understand the amount of people that play video games. I feel like you say 7 million players. I'm like, oh, that is literally all the video game world. Like none exists. That's it. All 7 million playing this game. Then you say 23 million bought Pokemon. I'm like, right. But this is a big planet. Yeah, there are a lot of people. Video games are cool. Whoops.
If you want something to really blow your mind, go look at the sales for GTA 5. Not just total, just how every year it somehow sells like this steady incline. And you're like, are people buying like multiple copies to play on different consoles within their house? Like, what? How is this happening? It's nuts. That and Mario Kart 8.
Yeah.
Those two games are the most evergreen games that will ever be. Oh, and Skyrim. Got to put Sky, but I don't know if I count that because that's like over multiple consoles and generations.
We don't need to talk about the Todd Father and Skyrim and all that stuff there. I think I'm on the camp of accepting this gift of Palworld and playing it. The biggest hurdle is my wife and I spent a lot of time crapping on this game, and then it was put in front of me for free. I'm like, ooh, am I gonna eat these words?
I hope. Okay, if you are listening, please give him shit. If he plays this game, please give him shit.
She already did.
You get no shit, Matt. You get no shit from me. This is a first. This is a first.
My wife, the most supportive person in the world for me and everything, and Scott, the opposite. This is weird. This is weird having the role reversal here.
And then I'm over here just egging her on. I'm like, yeah, let's do it, baby. I just want to see it happen, really.
I likely will, because it actually looking into the game, I'm just like, oh, this actually looks kind of neat. I don't really like survival games that much. I like it like, tell me where to go and let me do it. I don't want to open world. I don't want to build whatever the crap is there. But this one, I'm just like, everyone I know really likes this game. So I might try it. As for the plagiarism thing, to actually get it back on topic, I don't think they have legs to stand on. I don't think they get sued. I don't think just because they haven't delivered, that gives people a right to steal it. But again, I don't think it's stealing. I don't think it's plagiarism here. It's inspired. I know you're going to talk about that later. I think it's inspired by it and then just built upon with like, hey, we like this. Let's do something with this that's cool. And a lot of people love that tried and true trope of like, here's an established game, and here's a lot of people that have taken that and just expanded on it and made really cool things about it. Here's an example no one's going to know about. Animal Crossing was insane when it came out during COVID times, right?
Ugh.
That game sold so much money. I got bored of that game because I'm like, this is slow. This is clunky. This takes too long to do anything. There's a game that's on Steam only called Dinkum. It's Animal Crossing, but better in every single way, other than it's not named Animal Crossing. My wife got it. I watched it. I'm like, this is better. You can move. Everything is responsive. You don't have to like it's not this clunky little thing. There's so much personality and charm and stuff in this game where Animal Crossing, you're just kind of moving in slow motion, like, haha, the cat did a dance. I love Dinkum. Dinkum's not getting sued. It didn't sell as much money as much as Animal Crossing because it's not going to. But I didn't see people get like, sue this game. Sue this game. They ripped off Animal Crossing. I'm like, I mean, kinda. But at this point, every single game, as I mentioned earlier, at its core, its foundation can be taken from another game. Like Uncharted exists because Tomb Raider exists. Do they rip off Tomb Raider? Can you say yes? Maybe, sure.
Well,
Not
and then
plagiarism,
even to
though.
go back to further gameception yourself here. So Uncharted ripped off Tomb Raider essentially, and then the new Tomb Raider reboot kind of ripped off Uncharted. So it's just like,
so that's what we want. That's what we want. Pokemon, rip off the team that ripped you off. Do it.
And that's exactly my point is take the money away from the thing that you don't like and put the money into the thing that you do like. You know what that is? Capitalism, baby. That's what that is. And if you don't adapt, you're gonna suck. So it's like, look, I'm all for the healthy competition because at the end of the day, if it makes a better Pokemon game for fans, guess what? The people win, right?
Everything needs competition to be made better.
100%.
But most things, especially when it comes to any form of product, food, entertainment, cars, it needs something else to keep it in line and push it to better.
And I think my main issue. So I guess let's just let's just come out with it here. I think we're all in agreement that we're like, I mean, maybe like there's certain aspects of the game that, yeah, sure, you probably should change that so that you don't get in trouble because it looks literally 1-to-1. But none of us think this is plagiarism, right? That Palworld is plagiarizing Pokemon. I don't.
Nah.
Okay. A lot of this, I was just kind of playing devil's advocate for a lot of it.
Yeah.
But I do have a legitimate beef. And it's with these people. So I brought up H Bomber Guy, and I brought up AI artwork. There was a reason that I brought this up and put this in the outline at the beginning, and we're coming back to that. These same people that were in an uproar about, oh, well, this person did this, and this person did that, and here's this, are the same people now playing Palworld, and they're like, what, this isn't plagiarism, bro. And I'm thinking to myself, yeah, but you jumped in pretty quick after, raising your virtue signaling over here for this other stuff, which I think we can all agree plagiarism is bad, okay? It's very bad. But it really bothers me, and it all comes down to this weird subjective, like preferential, like, oh, well, even if that is plagiarism, I like it, so therefore it's okay, right? And it goes even further. So we talked about inspirations. What if this is okay? So let's paint this in an even brighter light. Let's just give the benefit of the doubt to the Palworld devs. I don't even remember the name of the dev company. Do you know what the name of the dev company is?
Not a clue.
Okay, so yeah, so I mean, kudos to them. I have no idea who they are. What is the difference between plagiarism, inspiration, or an homage? What if Palworld is just an homage to Pokemon in an adult way? And what do I mean by that? I'll give a couple examples and then Scott, take it away. Gears of War pioneered the pop and lock, pop behind cover shooter, right? There were other games that came out after that where that was like a main mechanic. Resident Evil 4, the over-the-shoulder third person, that was a thing. Resident Evil 4, like, defined that. And then everything after that, I remember all the games that came after Resident Evil 4, it was like Resident Evil 4. Like, it's like, that's the new standard, right? Just like the HD Rumble and the haptic feedback in the PlayStation controllers. I think that is going to be the new Rumble-ish technology moving forward. Some of these things
just with a better battery, please. Just a better battery.
But I wanted to bring that up, and then I think of games like, what about these sports games? Are they, like, Are they plagiarizing each other? What about racing sim games? What else can a racing sim really do without technically plagiarize? What can Forza do without technically plagiarizing Gran Turismo and vice versa? And when is it plagiarism and when is it a building block? That's the question.
Just a quick thought, and I want Scott in on this one, but just a quick thought first is I think the reason we're having plagiarism chat with Palworld is how undersaturated the type of game it is. That goes to your point exactly. There's a million racing games, so they can't all be plagiarizing, right? Because there's so many racing games. That's just what they are. There's really only one true Pokemon, and this is the first real competitor. Because there was another competitor that came out on Steam. It looked a bit more cartoony. I don't remember the name at all.
Temtem.
There you go.
Temtem. I think that's what it was called.
I didn't really hear anyone talking about like just ripping it off, even though that is more honestly off than what Palworld is. So I think it's just due to lack of saturation of a concept, which is why this conversation is kind of making it round in circles. That's just a thought I have. Scott, you got some things for us?
So one thing that we haven't really mentioned about Palworld is a lot of people saying, we're talking about, is it plagiarism, is it ripoff, or is it paying tribute or whatnot? I think it's more like a parody. Like, we all have these questions of Pokemon, or anybody who's been at all interested in Pokemon in the 20-something, 25 years it's been around. It's like, hey, bro, do they eat Farfetches? Like, I wonder what a Magikarp tastes like. And there's been, like, little jokes here and there in the show and stuff about, like, oh, yeah, people maybe eat Pokemon. But it's been, like, for the most part, this huge taboo. And there's always the thing of, like, well, these are wild animals. They're capturing them, taking them away from their wild animal families, and basically, turning them into, like, it's a cockfight. It's, dog fighting, basically, enslaving these creatures and making them fight, not to the death until they faint. And Palworld kind of in a lot of ways had the balls to actually take it a step further. I'm like, all right, we're giving these things guns. Now they're going to shoot at each other. Oh, yeah, we're straight up. You can go and cook these things and eat them. Oh, yeah, we're going to make them work in our base. And they're going to go and you can make them work hard to the point where they go insane and, injure themselves so they don't have to keep working. Like, I feel like it's, again, an adult Pokemon game because it's actually taking these concepts that Pokemon has started, but, kind of like never really addressed or kind of acknowledged how fucked up it really is if you stop to think about it. And it actually brings it to light. It's like, hey, this actually is kind of a fucked up concept. We're showing how this actually is in the real world, opposed to the Pokemon world where all the Pokemon are happy and they don't mind being slaves for the rest of their existence. So I don't know. I almost feel like it's kind of like wagging the finger at Pokemon in a way, but I don't know. Maybe that's just me looking more into
so
it.
Much that you brought up, is it satire? Because literally my first thought when someone was describing this game to me, like, oh, this is a meme. This is a joke. Someone made a fan video thing. And then I looked into it. I'm like, this is a real thing. I just assumed it was satire from the start. I think, and I'm so glad you said that because this thought just escaped me. I think that they set out to be like, listen, people want Pokemon, but let's have some fun with it. Let's give Pikachu a freaking gun. And while we're at it, let's let them be factory workers. While we're at it, you can fight the Pokemon too. We've all thought it. We've all wanted to do it. There's a bit early on in Legends where like you fight somebody's Togepi. And that was before I realized that like you can move around like the fight. You don't just choose your options. You can actually move around and like do things. So I just started running straight at this Togepi. I'm like, I want to kick this Togepi so bad, like a soccer ball. So my character ran to go kick it. And then of course the game doesn't let you. And I'm just like, that would be fun if you could just kick that Pokemon right there. Palworld exists. I think it's more satire than anything at this point. I'm with you, Scott.
Yeah. And it's just, I think you bring up kind of a really good point there of it's getting a lot of attention because it's not one of a kind, but it is unique, right? Like it's like this, I don't know if you guys remember Genshin Impact when it first released, there was a lot of controversy around that with what game? Breath of the Wild.
Breath of the Wild, and I need to say a joke that absolutely killed me. Someone called Genshin Impact Breath of the Waifu, and I thought that was accurate. The funniest thing in the world because it's so true. There are so many the waifus in this game. I had a good laugh at that one, which, by the way, Genshin's a pretty fun game, and my niece loves this game. She's like, Uncle Matt, I like Genshin Impact better than Breath of the Wild, and I was like, You know what?
All right,
That's
vibe
fine,
with
man.
it, man. Yeah,
That's
fine with it.
fine. It's a free game that gives you Breath of the Wild essentially, but like with honestly a little bit more. If we're being honest, and it's got waifus. Anywho, sorry, Genshin Impact.
Yeah. So I think that's interesting. I think that's a good point. I think that's why this is exploding and why it's such a big deal, right? Because there's technically plagiarism all over, but I think a lot of it is building blocks, right? Even if you so maybe there's, I don't know if there's Nintendo people that listen to us or not. But even freaking the Zelda team, they built I don't remember if it was Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom. I think it was Breath of the Wild. They straight up said, like, we looked at other games like Skyrim, and there was another one they mentioned. Like, they straight up said, like, yeah, these other games, we were definitely inspired by that. That's why we made this game. And I'm like, that's cool that you look at that and you go, hey, that worked. Let's do that. But let's do our own take. And I think the big thing that Palworld does, again, not having played it, just been watching. I've seen a lot of it without playing it, which is funny. I don't know why I haven't just played it. Is that it takes that concept of Pokemon, but makes it its own. I think that's the key. Plagiarism is you don't add anything to it. You don't make it your own. You don't take that point, and that's the whole reason why you cite things in papers and articles and things. You are making a point. You're using these other building blocks to prove a new point or to reestablish, like, they all said this. This is what I'm saying, right? Palworld does, I think, a good enough job of saying, this is our thing. Heavily inspired by Pokemon, but it's still our thing, right? It's not Pokemon, it's not Arc, it's not this, it's not that, it's Palworld. So, I don't know, man. I'm glad we're all in agreement on this, but I just find it so fascinating how just like, the eruptions from it. And I'm gonna be honest. Part of me kind of wants Nintendo to go into this just so that I could sit back with popcorn and be like, I hope that you lose. I hope you go after it, and I hope you lose, and then you have to make Pokemon better. Which, it's not even them that do it. It's Pokemon Company, really. It's like Pokemon Company's gonna go to Big Daddy Nintendo and be like, Daddy, they took our game.
I saw a side-by-side thing of like, are people really comparing these two games? Like, no, one game, is a made by $1 billion company and game franchise. The other was made by who knows, just came out last week. Which game do you think looks the best? I just had a side-by-side comparison, and the newest Pokemon game looks so bad graphically.
Bad.
Like, I crap on the Switch a decent amount with its power and processing and things like that. But for a game made specifically for it, you would think it would look better. It would have to look better.
Look
That's
at
just
almost every other first-party game on there. Almost every single one of them, you're like, that looks damn good. That looks perfectly fine. And then you look at Pokemon, you're like, eh. And out of all their franchises, that's probably the best-selling, right, Scott? Like, isn't Pokemon, like, the money maker of, like, maybe not just the game industry. Like, I feel like it's, like, everywhere. It's part of movies. It's got merch. It's got cards. It's got apparel. I mean, it's everywhere.
Detective Pikachu was pretty rad. Can we say that real quick? We all love Detective Pikachu. How
was
good was
great.
that movie?
Absolutely.
That was a blast of a movie.
Dude, when that Charizard freaked out and started, that was legitimately scary. I was like, honestly, I don't like this. I don't like this.
I didn't even need a plot. I mean, the Detective Pikachu was kind of like the weakest part of Detective Pikachu.
Yeah.
It's just kind of waltz around the city
in Pokemon.
Do a 3-hour movie where you're just going around the city, seeing random ass, ordinary jobs and situations, but with Pokemon doing it. And seeing how these different Pokemon look like in the real world. No plot at all. And I would watch that because that was great. That was my favorite part about the movie.
Yeah.
My takeaway is our bar is so low for what we want out of Pokemon games. It is so low. Just go a little bit above that bar. I'd actually the mainstay games.
That's my point. Like that. People listening, stop buying Pokemon games. I'm not even a Pokemon fan anymore. I want better for your fandom. Stop buying Pokemon games. Stop it. Stop it. You know who you are. Stop it. And then they'll make better Pokemon games.
Absolutely.
Oh boy. Anyway, well, that was quite a talk. What do you think, listener? What do you think about plagiarism? What do you think about Palworld versus Pokemon versus Ark versus Temtem versus Dinkums? I think that was
Dinkum.
one you said, Dinkum?
Yep.
Yeah, there we go. I remember things. What do you think about it? Let us know. If you're watching on YouTube, let us know in the comments. If you're on one of the many audio platforms that this thing goes out to every single week, come yell at us on Twitter. I would love, oh man, and if you, in the shorts that we make from this, oh man, you should come in there and talk so much shit. And then I'm going to send Matt in there to clap back. You guys should totally do it. It's wonderful.
You have pulled a monster out of me, internet. I have a beef. Here's a little Matt rant for you guys. Scott gets a whole rant. I'm taking a little rant now. I always thought YouTube was like the cooler place and TikTok was where all the Zoomers live. Apparently, when it came to that PS5 controller versus Xbox controller, because I went and looked at your TikTok, even though I don't have a TikTok, and I was just like, hey, the TikTok folks like the PS5 controller better than Xbox. But all the YouTube kiddos are so angry in these comments defending their Xbox controller. I'm like, why am I on the side of TikTok here? TikTok, if you make this a short, make this a short. TikTok, you have taste. You like the PS5 controller better than the Xbox, and you articulate it better too. I'm so proud of you. You have my respect now, okay?
I have to be the one to edit this and put this on, and they're going to yell at me. At every single one of them, I'm going to say, guys, Matt, make a TikTok profile so I can tag you.
I'm just a guy here. Please don't flame me for any of this. I do not endorse, condone anything that Matt says. I'm the color commentator of this. I'm the wacky person as part of this podcast. Please don't lump me in with any of this, please.
Anywho, TikTok, you're cool. YouTube, do better. Hey, you know what I want to talk about, guys? You know what I'm excited to talk about more so than Palworld and things like that. You guys want to know? You want to know what I'm excited to talk about?
What?
I want to talk about the brand that is the Buds Busting Balls podcast. We have made some great content. We're having some fun conversations. Mike is making some really cool shorts and YouTubes. The fact that he got me to comment on YouTube shorts and videos, that is a feat. If he can pull me into that, why aren't you guys in? Why aren't you guys telling us how great we are or how bad we are? I might tell you, how dare you? I might fight you. We'll figure it out. We'll do some fisticuffs. Meet me in Indianapolis. Let's do it. Let's fight. You should promote the brand, though. We are making cool stuff. Check us out on all the audio platforms. On YouTube, you can listen to it there if you prefer. You can see all the shorts that Bauer Tindo puts on his TikTok and his YouTube, Bauer Tindo. That's it, at Bauer Tindo. Come let us know all the things, or don't. I don't care. I'm not mad. I'm not going to fight you on the internet.
He's totally going to fight you on the internet. Of all the people in this group that I would think that would fight somebody on the internet, I would have picked Scott. My personal pick would have been Scott. And to see you do that, I can't tell you the joy that it brought to my heart. Like, I read your comment and it like inspired me. It made me want to plagiarize you, Matt. It made me want to plagiarize you.
I'll allow it so it's not plagiarism. I won't sue you, baby.
He made him want to satire it.
There it is.
I want to parody it. Yes.
Satire.
Homage.
Yes. Thank you. All right. So now it's time for the viewer question.
I heard you had a question. So many questions. Why don't you ask your question and the buds will bust an answer for you.
Question this week is from Tyrant. I think he likes Fallout, by the way. Not sure.
I don't think he does.
You don't think so? Okay.
Nah.
Maybe he loves it. I don't know. This is for everyone. This is all the buds. I don't remember if anyone else has asked this, but I will. What is everyone's movie of the year for 2023? Me personally, it might have to be Godzilla -1. So, Tyrant's asking, what was your favorite movie in 2023?
Man, I used to love these questions because I used to see a lot of movies because I worked in a movie theater for about a year, not that long ago. And getting free movies was awesome. And even before that, I saw a ton of movies. I literally only saw 3 movies in movie theaters in 2023. And that makes me sad, but makes the answer easy. John Wick 4. John Wick 4 was the best movie I saw in theaters in 2023. It kicked all the butt. Not even my favorite John Wick movie. It was just a fun movie. Helped that I saw it with my dad too, which was pretty cool. My dad has Alzheimer's. So getting live reactions to new things and like seeing him enjoy stuff instead of just kind of sitting there doing the tried and true. That was just fun. But the movie itself was a blast. I like John Wick 4. That was mine.
Scott, what about you?
So I know, and this is probably another topic for another day. Now we have exclusive movies coming out on streaming services. And so reading this question, it's like, do I include that, or do I talk about like strictly the traditional theater, movie experience? You go out into a theater. So you know what? I'm going to cheat and do both. For my streaming movie of the year, I'm actually going to have to give it to Nomura. I'm not sure if either of you guys saw that movie. I love that movie. I know it was like, ooh, taboo in certain red state circles. But that movie had such great energy. It was so fun. It made me legitimately laugh. It was a kid's movie, but like I was cracking up at parts of it. The art style of it, fantastic. I love it. And I don't know what award show it is. It just specializes in like animated things. It completely swept the awards and like left everything from Disney like on the outside looking in. It's a great movie. It's on Netflix. I highly recommend you check out this movie if you haven't. Loved it. If we're going to talk about actual movie, though, that you have to go and get your butt out of the house and sit down in a movie theater for, I'm going to give it to Guardians of the Galaxy 3. I love that movie. That is such a good movie. I do think this is a sad thing for me to say. I don't give one flaming fuck about the Marvel Cinematic Universe anymore. I really don't. Like, this is coming from a guy who like almost stayed up like overnight to go and watch Endgame. I was so excited for it. And Guardians of the Galaxy 3, though, it is like the shiny nugget in the turd that is the Marvel Cinematic Universe right now. Such a good movie, such a fantastic end to that franchise. And you know what? Just a good movie in general. It makes you cry, it makes you laugh, makes you feel good. I love that movie.
That was mine. So yeah, same thing. That's what I was going to say. But I want to point out, I find it funny that both of you, like, okay, so it had to be at a theater, but like, when it released on digital after, what if like you waited to watch it then? It still came out in 2023.
And that's how I watched it.
That's valid.
That's
valid. I think that's okay.
Yeah, like I know, like Matt was like, I didn't go to a theater, so I only saw 3, so it's got to be that. Like I'm like
old school. I'm old school of that. I still
guess.
think a movie should be seen in a theater and like stuff to watch at home with stuff you've seen before. I get not everyone's like that. I'm just like, if someone says, what movies have you seen? I just think, where did I go to the movie theater? I don't remember what I saw on Netflix or Disney Plus. I forget the next day. Movie theaters stick with me a little bit.
I watched Guardians at home via Disney Plus. I was like, oh, that's out. I missed it. I need to watch it. And damn, that movie.
It was
I mean,
good.
the whole Guardians franchise, like all three of
The
those,
best.
even
The
the
best
Christmas specials.
series.
Yeah, like watch a Christmas special too. Watch them all the Guardians stuff is wonderful. It's delight. And the third one, man, some of the biggest feel. I did not expect to leave that movie being like, oh, why? I was like, why? And it felt like the end of an era too. Like it was really, and it's kind of funny. We just got to the Parks and Rec episode where you clearly see when Chris Pratt went from Fat Chris to, oh, you were filming as Star-Lord, weren't you? Like Chelsea looks up at the screen, she goes, whoa, and I went, yep, there he is.
I like in the show they wrote it off like, I just stopped drinking beer.
Yeah, he's like,
that's how they wrote it off.
He says, I stopped drinking beer. How much were you drinking? And that was his answer. And I'm like, all right, good enough.
Also, go play Guardians of the Galaxy, the video game. It is so good.
It's so good. It's so good. Scott, I don't think you ever finished it. Go play it.
I didn't finish it. It's one of the mini games on my backlog. I will get to it.
It's actually really good. It's really good. Hey, Scott, you know what else you should do? Or actually, do you have it ready for us? Do you have a rant ready for us?
I came up with it in the last 5 minutes, but do I have a rant for you?
Look over there, he just doesn't care. He's going off on a crowd of people, throwing words in the air like he just don't care. He's yelling at all of us sheeple. It's a Scotty Borda Body rant. It's a Scotty Borda Body rant. It's a Scotty Borda Body rant. It's rant time.
You ready for the Sky Porta Potty rant? Dig it! I got you for 3 minutes, and you're going to hear this rant, and you ain't going nowhere. All right, that kind of hurts the throat. Anyway, you know what really grinds my gears? Saying good morning. How's your day to me in the morning? You don't give a damn if I'm having a good day or not. You don't care. This is just useless talk that you feel compelled to say because you think like society requires you to go and say things like this. Meaningless, pointless phrases like that. You know, sometimes I'm just like, you know what? I'm going to fuck with this person. And they ask me like, oh, good day. To you, maybe. It's like, wait, what does that mean? Shitty day for me. Thanks for pointing out that I'm having a bad one, though. Catch them off guard. Like, oh, Scott, how are you doing today? I'm actually doing pretty terrible. This is one of the worst days of my life. Oh, okay. And then they walk off. Well, thanks, buddy. Apparently you didn't care if I was having a good day or not after all, huh? So it's stupid. And I hate you for trying to bring a little bit of light to my life. Thank you, and God bless the United States of America.
All right. We don't believe in bringing light into the world. And if you see Scott, just tell him you hope he dies in a fire. He'll love it. He prefers honesty versus lying that you actually care about him. Hey, guys, thanks for hanging out for us as we talked about power, plagiarism, Scott's terrible Macho Man impressions, all of the above. I hope you had a great time. I hope you like, you comment, you subscribe, and all the shorts that Mike puts out there. Please defend me. I'm a fragile creature.
Or don't. I vote that you attack him. I want bring out the inner beast.
I don't know if I'm ready to be that mad on the internet. But anywho, by listening to this podcast, I can never be mad at you, and I love you. Smoochies.
Bye.
Mwah.